I'm standing in Brunswick Park, just to the west of Seven Sisters Station. Seven Sisters Station used to be much larger with more platforms. This park is the site of where the old platforms used to be, and there was a line that ran off northwest to Wood Green, the Palace Gates line. That's what we're doing in episode 9 of London's Lost Railways. The Palace Gates line was a branch line that opened in 1878 that came off at Seven Sisters and had intermediate stations at West Green, Knoll Park and Wood Green, and the terminus at Alexandra Palace, but it was actually called Palace Gates Wood Green. It allowed passengers from this area to travel into the London terminus of Liverpool Street instead of King's Cross. After being initially used quite highly, passenger usage started to fall, and really fell when the Underground opened up its Piccadilly line through here with stations at Wood Green and Turnpike Lane in 1932. The line closure was announced in the 1960s, with passenger services stopping in 1963 and freight only lasting one more year until that also stopped in 1964. The first thing you encounter on the way to Wood Green is a path in the alignment called Brunel Walk. That's misleading though, as it was the Great Eastern that built this railway and not the Great Western, but that can't be a coincidence. This line though went under a lot of bridges, so what's great is that even though the tracks have been lifted and long gone, you can still spot the route by simply spotting all the bridges. There's 4 in total that we'll see. And the first one of these is here on Avenue Road. If you can see behind me, the road gently slopes up and it gets to here. There are some bollards, cars go through and they go through a proper bridge over nothing. You can peer over the edge to see, oh look, yet another allotment. But you can also come down the side, around the grass verge, and get to stand in the place where the tracks were looking down through the length of the alignment. It's yet more allotments. What I've come to the conclusion is that a lot of London's lost railways are now just allotments. In future in London, if I see an allotment that's sort of vaguely in a straight line, I'm going to be thinking old railway. The second old bridge is on Cornwall Road, but to see this one up close, head down Sturrock Close instead, walk right to the end, and the bridge is bricked up. But there is this old rusty door to the right hand side with something inside, so the space is obviously being used by someone for something. You get to the first disused station next, West Green. There's nothing left of it to see, as Parkview School is clearly on the site where it used to be. But by the bus stop opposite there is this old wall, which is very definitely a remnant of the old railway. Head down into Downhills Park, and over on the western side you can look through the tangle of the branches of the trees, and behind the tennis courts you'll see bridge number 3, partially boarded up, but this is where the trains used to run. You cross the bridge itself, go down Ivett Way, and then to a lovely little find. Look at this. A point in the pavement where presumably Haringey Council have laid down some old rails in the exact spot where the line would have been. There's a mural here painted on the side of the wall of a substation, as well as a plaque on the ground with details of the old line. Oh, and obviously, as it's a lost railway in London, the next part is now an allotment. I quickly got to the other end. This is the allotment at the other end, and if I do a 180 at this point here, ta-da! Bridge number 4. That's the road bridge for Westbury Avenue, and that means that we're now getting close to Wood Green Shopping Centre and the location of Knoll Park and Wood Green Station. After it was demolished in the 1960s, a huge new dominating shopping centre was built at Wood Green, obliterating all the old railway, and is now just shops and cars and buses and people and noise and hang on. The railway used to go over the main road here on a bridge, and there's still a clue, if you look carefully, in this building on the right, where you can see that its sidewall is at such an angle that it is in keeping with the alignment of the railway that would have passed by it. Heading for the terminus, you get to the junction of Wolsey Road and Park Avenue, and lovely, look, bridge abutments still in place, a dead giveaway of the old line. This then leads to some steps, and then a path where for the first time on this route it feels like I can hear birds rather than the rumble of traffic. And for the last station, you're heading for Dorset Road, where tucked away down a dead end there's this innocuous looking grassy area, but peek over the brick wall at the back and railway tracks, finally. Yes, this was the site of Palace Gates Station, now all built over by housing, and a little bit of the tracks now lead into this depot that's used by Network Rail and Hitachi. And that brings us to Bounds Green Service Delivery Depot. It's where they patch up the Hitachi Azuma trains, which is why there's one parked in the siding over there. And the last remaining piece of the Palace Gates line is this little building there, which is definitely some kind of station building, which would have been attached or associated to the goods yard that was here. And that is how you go from Seven Sisters and follow all the way along the Palace Gate lines and the bridges and everything else that we've seen. That brings us to the end of this episode. Coming up for the big finale, we've got Crystal Palace and then the Parkland Walk. Please press subscribe, do all that good stuff, press like. See you on the next video. Thanks for watching.